Hey Deb, first of all I am a new listener to your channel and cannot wait until you start doing WTF Tuesday again. Such a fun show. Anyway, I am writing because I had something really strange happen to me a few days ago and I need to know how I should handle it. I am a 27-year-old female living in the UK. I have been going out with a 22-year-old male recently. The problem is on our last date he choked me, which now has me wondering if I should continue seeing him. I've been seeing this guy who I met at work for about a month now. We haven't been intimate, but we've gone on several dates and so far there hasn't been any red flags. We went out last night like we have been doing for the past few weeks, and after we had left the bar we decided to take a walk around the neighborhood. It started raining a lot, so he suggested that we go down into the subway to talk a bit more. Although I had a feeling he was going to try to make a move on me. I continued anyway. And as we get down into the subway he just randomly slams me against the wall and puts his hands on my neck and starts kissing me very aggressively. I was totally caught off guard, and had no idea why he was acting like that when the time we kissed before was just a normal kiss. I guess he was attempting to be sexy and dominant. He is a bit younger, and not as experienced, but I just didn't like how he did that. Deb, it was particularly triggering for me because I have a history of being a victim of assault. After I realized he was going to keep choking me, I told him to stop and he did. But I've been going over it again and again in my mind because it really bothers me that he felt that it would be okay to do that to me without asking for consent first. I guess an excuse is that he's inexperienced and naive, or assumed I would just like it. But still, in spite of this incident, I do like him. But I just don't know if it's something I should forgive or not. I messaged him today and he apologized, but I don't know. Also, not to mention how dangerous choking is. Thankfully I seem fine. My voice was a little hoarse the morning after and my throat hurt a little, but it just eludes me to think why someone would do that. Anyway, should I give him another chance or not?
Okay, let's talk about this. I'm going to try to be a little bit gentle with you because of your history. And I know this triggered you to the point where you did the deer in headlights, I don't know what to do kind of response. And I'm going to have a few suggestions for you about what to do about that. First, let me say this. Over the last year and a half or so, in my relationship advice, in this very column that you referenced, there have been repeated cases of young ladies writing in to talk about guys in the UK, too, that's where I'm getting these letters from, doing this kind of thing to them without their consent. I've also read online where there have been cases where men did this to women and the women died. Now, the only story we have is that of the guy who said it was consent and it, went wrong or something, I don't know. They have some excuse for why this woman is dead, claiming that this choking thing was a consensual act and it just went a little awry. So we'll never know if it was like your case where nobody asked for permission or if, they were just doing it and things really did go wrong. He didn't listen to the safe word, whatever is the case here. But I have a problem with this. Personally, I think that young men like this guy are watching too much what we call popcorn on this channel. They're watching too much popcorn. And since young men are kind of dumb, they don't seem quite capable of differentiating between what they see on the screen and understanding that those people are being paid to act out a fantasy. They're getting big money for that. It's not real. All the stuff they're doing is scripted. The response the women have is scripted. The response, what the men are doing is scripted, and they're getting paid to do it. It's no more realistic than watching the Flintstones or Barney the Dinosaur or the Muppets, okay? It's not real. You should not ever act out what you see on one of those movies unless you have both sat down and discussed it and you have both agreed that that's what you want to do. So that's the first thing that he did that was absolutely wrong and stupid. The second point I want to make with you is you are 27, you're on the downstroke to 30. Women are already more emotionally and mentally mature than males. Even insurance companies know that. That's why young men don't get a break on their auto insurance until they're at least 25. They start they do stupid stuff. And they say the human brain in males is still developing until the age of 25. You got somebody who's 22. He's not really a man yet. He's still between childhood and manhood, and nowhere near on your level mentally or emotionally. So I'm going to suggest just on that alone that you stop dating a 22-year-old. You should be dating a 32-year-old. That would be more appropriate for you. Okay, now let's go into this letter. So you guys went on a couple of dates and he was acting normal and sane, but somewhere in the dark recesses of his little lizard brain, he decided that, this was going to be something that he should do. Notice how he got you away from everyone else and down into a dark, somewhat abandoned space to do this. I'm going to tell you this, for your own safety and any other young lady listening to, don't do that. If some guy tried to get you off somewhere in some isolated, desolate place, you don't go with him, okay? You scream, you say no, you run away, you do whatever you need to do, but you don't let some man take you to some place where there's no people. I mean, these days, it's even bad enough to be where there are people, because most of them are likely to whip out their phones and record it for TikTok or Instagram or something than they are to use their phone to call 911 and get you some help. So, you just never know what the environment is that you're going to be in and if there will be someone there to help you or not. So I suggest that you just avoid those kind of situations if at all possible. Stay away from men who try to put you in those situations. Okay. The other thing I want you to never do again is date anybody at your job. Okay, you made a series of poor choices here. And like I said, I'm trying to be gentle with you, but I want you to understand what mistakes that you're making here so you don't do this again. You never get your honey where you make your money. That's something my dad has been preaching to me and my brother since we were 10 years old, way before we ever got interested in dating. You don't bring romance and work together. You don't do that. You keep them separate. You don't date nobody at your job. You don't marry nobody at your job. If you want to date them, one of you has to quit. If you want to marry them, one of you needs to work elsewhere. That's the rule that you need to follow. You can do the same job, but you need to do it somewhere else, okay? So that's one thing. So let's talk about this guy. Okay, so you guys went to a bar, so that means you had a few drinks, so that means both of you are under the influence of alcohol and not really thinking too clearly. Then it starts raining, so he wants to get you into this subway so he can continue to, quote, talk. Please, he could have stayed in the bar to talk. Are you feeling me? He had this was an agenda that he had, and you understood that he was going to be trying to make a move on you with this dark and desolate move he was making. Why did you do it? Okay, and I have to ask you these kind of questions because I want you to go to therapy and I want you to work through these choices and decisions that you made with a therapist so you can see where, because of whatever history you have, it could be childhood, it could be just this incident that you talk about, or it could be a combination thereof. Something in you is not protecting you. You're not seeing risks and dangers like a normal person would. And so you need some help to figure out why that's happening and what to do to fix it, okay? There's no way in this world I would have put myself in a situation like that. He would have said, let's go to Subway. I would have said the F word and went in the opposite direction. You're not taking me nowhere. I'm going to meet you where I want to meet you, and then when I'm ready to go, I'm going to go. And I'm not going with you nowhere like that. Okay, so you're going down into Subway for whatever reason, y'all decided to do that. And then he slams you up against the wall, puts his hands on your neck, and he starts kissing you. You're caught off guard. Of course, most people would be. But your natural inclination as a woman should be to scream, kick him in the gonads, scratch his face, dig his eyes out, something to make him get his hands off of you. You know, there's always these two responses, and young ladies have been telling you, there's the response where people, react really aggressively and fight, and then there's the one like the deer in headlights kind of response where you just stand there and you don't really know what to do, so you don't do anything. I wish more women would abandon that. Get yourself into a personal defense class, something, so that you at least have a couple of moves when guys start doing stuff like this. You know how to break their hold on your throat, with an upswing arm and then a nose punch. You just a couple of moves. You don't need to know a lot of stuff, but you have to be really, really good and really responsive so that you execute the moves that you do know in a very quick way, and then you take off running. All right. So then what's bothering me the most about this, I think, is the fact that you're trying to make excuses for him. You're making excuses and you're saying you don't know what to do. You do know what to do. You know very well what to do, but you're trying to make some kind of excuses for him and justify his behavior because you like him. I'm going to say this. This is a huge red flag. You may not have seen any red flags before this, but this is like 92 red flags in one. This guy was testing you. This was a test of your boundaries, a test of your personal fortitude, a test of what he could get away with, what you was going to allow him to do to you, and the control that you would allow him to have over you, and you failed. You failed. Now, you finally did choke out a stop, but that should have been, the second he started choking you, that should have come out your mouth, and you should have been flailing and punching his ass, because there's no reason in this world for some guy you go on a date with, especially one that you work with, to think that that was appropriate behavior. That was just ridiculous. Okay, so, and you say he's younger and inexperienced and all this stuff. Like I said, these are all excuses that you're making for him for some reason. I'm not really understanding why you're doing that. Perhaps you can write back and explain that to me, because I just don't get it. Okay, so you finally tell him to stop, and but it's been bothering you, right? It's been bothering you for a couple of reasons, I'm going to say. It's bothering you because he did it, which was a violation of your personal boundaries, a violation of the respect that he should be having for you as a coworker and as a potential romantic partner. And it's also a display of violence and aggression that someone with your history, or really any woman, does not need to have in her life. A man who treats you like that, especially when you just start dealing with dude, and he comes out the box like that, you fire him. This is a no-brainer to me. There's no way in the world that you should accept this. He should never have another chance. You should never even talk to him again at work unless it is something specifically related to your employment, like a project you two are working on together, something you have to talk to him. Other than that, you put his monkey ass on ice and you don't talk to him ever again. And I'm seriously wondering what it is that you like about this guy. What do you like about someone who treats you like that? I mean, he might have a nice personality. You had a few laughs and stuff like that. But, my thing is, Deb is always going to love herself more than I ever love anybody else. And the whole point of if a man is going to be in my life, he better love me just as much as I do. And this kind of stuff right here, where he's treating you like this, like, he's acting out some wild fantasy, and you just a piece of meat to satisfy his curiosity or whatever his freakish desires are of the moment, that is not nobody who cares about you. You get rid of this fool. I want you to text him back and say, I've been thinking, and I want you to use exactly these words. I've been thinking about your behavior, and I have decided I do not want to continue dating you. I will see you at work. Our conversation will be limited to professional interactions only. Thank you. Okay, that's it. That's what you said. You don't say nothing else. If he tries to text you back, you delete it and ignore it. If he tries to come to your desk and talk to you about it, you tell him to get away from your desk or you're going to report him to HR. You put up some very firm boundaries. I don't want you to apologize. I don't want you to say sorry. I don't want you to do anything that looks like you're being timid. And then I want you to take yourself and sign up for some kind of self-defense course. And then I want you to find a therapist, okay, in that order. I want you to do those three things. But the first thing you got to do is make some very, very clear barriers between yourself and this guy. You are never to be alone with him again. He is never to come to your house. You are never to talk to him on the phone. You are never to text him. Am I making myself clear? This man is dead to you. You can block him on your phone after you send that text if you want to. I don't know how your job works. Like some jobs, they give you a company phone and people can still contact you on that because you work together. But, if you gave him your personal number, you block him on that. He has no reason to ever contact you again after those antics. All right? This is extremely important. And yes, it's very dangerous. You're correct. And you suffered, some physical symptoms because of his little antics. You didn't get away with this with nothing. I mean, it's just like if a woman gets her arm twisted or something, her joint's going to hurt, her arm's going to hurt. She may have bruises or something. You have a hoarse voice and your throat hurts. Okay, that is a sign that you have been physically abused. Are you not understanding this? This man, something's wrong with him. You cut this guy loose, and this goes for any other young woman who's facing this kind of objectification and abusive nature in a relationship with a man. It should never go further than that. Once he shows this side to you, you cut him loose. Cut him loose, because he doesn't deserve you. He doesn't deserve to be with anybody. He's even too good for barnyard animals, and I hope that they bite him or bump him with their horns or whatever animals do. That's the kind of treatment that he needs. So you do not In case it's not clear, let me sum this up. You're not going to give him another chance. You're going to do what I said, and you're going to text him that his behavior was atrocious and that you're done. Okay? You're done with this dude. This is Deb Cooper from survivingdating.com. Thank you for visiting the Debsterism channel. Please hit that like and subscribe button before you get up out of here, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with the next video. If you want to submit a question, just go on the Debsterism.com website and submit your question on the advice form there, and I'll get to it as soon as I can. Thanks.